Is it hard for your family to change? That's our question for today. Hi there, and welcome back to Ask Dr. Saira, our show where I answer your questions about spiritual development, personal growth, and mental health. Our question today comes from Layla. So, Layla asks a very simple question. She says, "Why is change so difficult for my family?" Why is change so difficult for my family? So, change is difficult for us as humans because we like things to be predictable. We have this weird tension in which we want adventure and freedom, but we also want predictability and security, right? All of us. So, I mean, think about your own life, right? When things have been steady for a bit too long, it's like, oh man, I need something new. And when things have been kind of chaotic and different and new for a long time, you're like, oh, I just want to put down my roots, right? So we play with that balance of freedom and stability, change and sameness. We do. And so the people in your family are probably having that conundrum, right? Of why change when everything seems okay. We will all get to a point, probably several times in our lives, where we know something needs to change. We might not know what it is, but we know something needs to change. And what happens in families sometimes is that one person gets the call, like, okay, time to change, and you start doing the changes, but nobody else got that call, right? So while you're shifting and changing, they're not, and that can feel really isolating. So when you ask the question, why is it so hard for my family to change? What I'm hearing you say is, I've changed. Why can't they? Right? Why can't they? And it's because you're on a different path, right? You're on a different journey than them. Maybe they don't want to change. Maybe they don't think they need to change. You know, one of the things that we joke about when I'm teaching my students is I say, you know, who are training to become therapists, I talk to them about how, you know, as a therapist, we believe that with enough love or therapy, anybody can change, right? Anybody can change with enough love and attention and care, with enough counseling, with enough supports around them, anybody can change. The problem with that perspective is that not everybody wants to change. And not everybody thinks they need to change. Some people are perfectly fine being the way they are and continuing to be that way. You might not be fine with it. Nobody else might be fine with it, but they themselves, they're fine with it. So they might not even want to change. Why is change so hard on your family? You also want to consider perhaps the stages of change, right? And the phases, and looking at like what stage of change might they be in. So, you know, I'll talk about this in another video, a bigger video about stages of change, but just kind of think about that. Are they ready for change? Do they even think there needs to be a change? Do they feel like you've changed and you're the one who's actually disrupting equilibrium and status quo, right? So it's hard for everybody. It's hard for all of us to change when we're not in that freedom, spontaneous place, right? When we're in stability and security and predictability, and then we're asked to change, it's hard. And we all go, you know, we all kind of shift through both. And as we get older, one of the things I've noticed is as people age, they're more interested in the stability and the security. And that's where life can get really kind of blah, because they're not trying new things. They're not opening up to something unknown. They're like, you've done everything already, right? You've been on an airplane, you've been on a train, you've eaten at a restaurant, you've traveled to blank space, like whatever country, you've done everything. So nothing is new and nothing is exciting and it doesn't feel like an adventure anymore. And then you get kind of crotchety and kind of grumpy because you're just stuck in sameness. So if you're Layla, if you're the one who's noticing that there needs to be change in the family, perhaps you're the one who's being called to change. And they may or may not join you, right? They may or may not jump on that change wagon. But as you change, see, you're part of the system. In family systems work, we talk about the system. And so in a system, right, when one part of that system changes, right, it recalibrates the whole system. If you start to change, suddenly the whole system has to change. It's inevitable. So you can continue doing your work. And there may be some people who come on board and get curious and ask you what you're doing, and they want to know. There might be other people who don't even notice. And then there might be other people who actively don't like it, who don't want these changes, who don't want you to change, don't want anything to change. And we have to let them be, right? We have to let them be. We can't do other people's path for them. We have this saying out here on the lake. We have this saying that says, paddle your own canoe. Paddle your own canoe. You can't paddle that other person's canoe. You have to paddle your own canoe, right? So it's like, mind your own business, look at your own path, do your own work, and then when they're ready, if they're ready, they'll come along. And if they're not, can you find compassion for them? Can you find a way to connect with them anyway, even though they're not changing in the ways that you are? So those are my thoughts for that question. If you have a question that you want answered, a burning question, send it to us. Dragonflywellnesscenter.ca is where I am these days. It is an incredible space. It's an online hub for personal growth and development. It's culturally informed. And so we have people from all different backgrounds working there as therapists, coaches, counselors, energy workers, that whole kind of all of it. So check us out. We also have free community learning events. We have courses and programs. So if this is something you like, if you like doing the kind of deeper dive and the questions and the insight stuff, join us. And I'll see you next time. Bye.